to Being Mrs. Fraser. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I have a little bit of something different for you guys today. I thought it would be fun to do kind of a mini series on different meals and baking and all those types of things. So today's video is going to be the first video of that series. We're going to start with a few meals that I make my family. These meals, two of them are kind of regular meals on the schedule, and then one of them was something fun and new that I was asked to make by one of my kiddos. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of go down the series because I know that I am like everybody else when it comes to making a meal plan, that sometimes it is kind of hard to come up with some dinner ideas. So what I'm going to ask of you guys, I'm going to help you guys by giving you guys some meal ideas. I do that in my grocery hauls as well, but I thought it'd be fun if you guys could also let me know down in the comments some of your favorite family meals that you make for you and in your family. I think that would be helpful for not only me, but for all of us. But anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and start this video. I have 3 meals for you guys this week, and I do plan on coming back with some other things for next week. I am super excited about this series, so I hope that you guys are as well. We're gonna go ahead and start with chili. Now, this may seem like a simple idea, a simple thing for everyone, but I've learned that everybody makes their chili different. So I'm going to be sharing with you my mom's recipe today. I have shared other chilies in the past in like my shorts videos. So let's go ahead and start with chili. Sometimes I can feel. So for my mom's chili, as you can see, you need chili powder, hamburger, Mrs. Grimes chili beans, and it's got to be Mrs. Grimes. You guys, I just had my dad bring me like a pallet of these back. So I am well stocked up for probably 2 or 3 years, honestly, because for whatever reason, I can't get them down here in Florida. So, and then also some stewed tomatoes and some tomato juice. So this is more of a soup chili as opposed to a thick chili. You guys are gonna have to let me know, do you prefer the soup style chili or do you prefer a thick chili? I like the soup style honestly a little bit more, but then I just add crackers to make it not so soupy at the end. I know a lot of people will top their chili with like cheese and onions and all the things, but I just use crackers. I'm plain Jane like that, but that's what I like. My family uses cheese and other things as well, but important here, you do want to season your meat. I'm just browning up the ground beef here, and then I will just basically dump everything in. A little tip though, my family doesn't like huge chunks of tomatoes, so for today's chili, I am using stewed tomatoes that I will chop up with the meat chopper as I add them in, but sometimes I like to use like Rotel tomatoes instead. The other nice thing about adding Rotel tomatoes instead, it gives it a little bit more of a kick if you like that, a little bit of heat if you will. Yeah, kind of up to you and what you like to do. And I also want to say, you know, this seems like a lot, and it is. This actually provided about 2.5 meals, if you would say, for my family of 6. So it did go a long ways. It gave us plenty of leftovers. As you can see, I am chopping up those stewed tomatoes. If you like to add more seasonings to yours, definitely do what you like to do. I add some, so after I'm done browning the hamburger, I do add seasoned salt to that, and then I will go in and add some chili powder, and then once I get everything added to the pot, I add more chili powder, and then I just kind of let it simmer for probably about 30 minutes or so, just to make sure that all those flavors marinate. Now, I will say I love chili the next day because then it has all night to marinate in those flavors, let them all get good and gathered together, and it is absolutely delicious. I love chili, even though it's hot here in Florida right now, and chili is probably more of a winter meal. But you guys, my dad just brought me back the chili beans, and I just felt like I needed some good old bowl of chili. Anyway, let me know if you guys try this one or what you would change or what you would add to this recipe.
Then suddenly feel cold. Still I trust there's more to know. Feels like my head's underwater, but you're there at the surface, lifting me through the doubt. Can you make it make sense? How a heart can heal again when the fire.
Hey guys, that was simple enough, right? So next up, we're gonna move on to meatloaf. Apparently I was feeling a little bit nostalgic this week. Maybe I was missing my mom a little bit, I don't know what. But next up, I'm gonna make her meatloaf. So I do make it a little bit differently than her. I add a few more seasonings than she added, but it's still very much the same concept, the same way that she made hers. So yeah, so I thought it would be fun to go ahead and share my mom's meatloaf with you guys. So make sure, let me know how you guys make meatloaf, how it's different or maybe similar. And I'm also curious, I kind of want to know if the way you make it changes based off of your location. So my mom is from Iowa, I'm from Nebraska, but it's all kind of encompassing. So I'm kind of curious if this is a Midwest situation or a family location. So let me know, but let's go ahead and get this meatloaf made.
Do you remember that night, you and me?
Now I make my hamburger pretty much the same way as, or not hamburger, my meatloaf, pretty much the same way as my mom did, other than I add a lot more seasonings, I guess, if you will. I mean, I don't know that it was necessarily a lot more seasonings, but my mom typically used hamburger, onions, ketchup, eggs, and crackers that she would just break up. And sometimes I do use crackers. Today I'm using oatmeal instead. I also am adding garlic and onion powder. And then instead of chopping up an onion, I just used some dried minced onion. I go back and forth on that. I love the flavor onion gives though. So I use onion in like anything that I use. Hamburger, you know, when I'm making burgers or meatloaf or whatever, it just gives such a good flavor. So you could totally put actual, you know, cut up minced onion in there, or I like to use the dried. It blends in a little bit better for my family. They're not huge on eating actual onions, so it helps hide it in there a little bit better, but still give that flavor. You know what I mean? So I use about 4 pounds of ground beef when I'm doing this. I like to use a leaner meat. However, this time I didn't. I used an 80%. But I always, once I mix everything together, I do make little wells. I make it like a loaf within my pan as opposed to filling the pan. That way the grease kind of has somewhere to go and it comes out of the meat. You know what I mean? So, and then also a little tip from Tammy. I always had a big struggle getting my meatloaf to cook all the way through, so I go through and poke holes with my fingers. That way too, the ketchup kind of goes down inside, and then it also gets the meat to cook quicker, or more efficiently, I guess. I don't know. I'm very, very, very picky on meatloaf. I will not eat very many people's meatloafs. I really like my mom's meatloaf with the addition of, you know, a few extra seasonings, which I used the onion powder, garlic powder, and then she used onions too. So realistically, I didn't change it much from what she did. And then I just bake it at 425, and it takes, the 4 pounds takes about an hour, 15 minutes or so. Give or take. On this day, it did take the full hour and 15. Sometimes it's taken like an hour and a half. Sometimes it's only taken an hour. So I just let the temperature, the internal temperature, I think it's like 160 for beef. And so I just test it, and then when it's done, I pull it out. So another addition with our meatloaf, I did get some baked potatoes going. These potatoes are huge, you guys. I went to make one, and I was like, I ended up splitting it because there was no way that, my husband was like, that is way too big for my plate. So I ended up splitting it and putting it onto my plate as well. But I just wrap the potatoes with some, I slice them and then I put some olive oil and some coarse salt on them. I like that they make it that way. That's kind of how they do it at Texas Roadhouse, and I like a baked potato like that. So I did fail though. I forgot the sour cream, you guys. We had sour cream. Apparently we used it all for something, I don't know, and I forgot to buy more. So unfortunately we did not have any sour cream for our baked potatoes, but we did have some butter, salt, pepper, and some shredded cheese. So y'all have to let me know what you guys like on your baked potato, because I'm kind of curious. Also, let me know what changes you make to your meatloaf, because I'm curious on that as well. But I love a meal like this. I hate touching meatloaf. Ugh, it is like, that's the only reason why I don't make it, but meatloaf is probably my all-time favorite dinner, next to tacos, of course.
My God, when I'm feeling all alone, oh, it's you that I need, it's you that I need, but I'm the one you want. You're my God, will you carry me back home?
Alrighty, last but not least, we're gonna make lasagna soup. So this doesn't exactly turn out much like soup. It was intentional to be soup. Let's jump into it. You'll see. It was delicious though, nonetheless.
So next up, we're going to be doing a lasagna soup, like I said. However, we're going to be making some garlic knots. I have found this new way, I guess, of using my bread machine to work for me, and I have absolutely loved it. So I've made garlic knots a few times in my bread machine now. I'm not making the actual knots in the bread machine, it's just making the dough, but it is so simple. You just basically add all your wet ingredients and then your dry ingredients on top. I basically add all the ingredients to the little loaf pan, and then I add in the flour. I make a little well in the flour, you'll see here in a second, and then I pour my yeast on top of that. You don't want your yeast mixing with like the salt in that. It will kill your yeast. I think it's salt, or is it the sugar? I don't remember. I think it's the salt though. But yeah, so you want to throw that on top, and then your bread machine will give you directions on what goes in first. Usually it's the liquids and then the dry ingredients. So I just set it on the leavened dough selection, I guess, if you will, and let her go. It takes about 90 minutes though, and this day she kind of got a little big, but that's okay. That means that the yeast worked amazingly. It's got a bunch of air, nice fluffy texture. So yeah, after the 90 minutes, you're just gonna turn her out onto the counter, on like a floured surface basically, and then I cut it down. I think I cut it down into like 12 pieces of dough. You kind of get them in, like, you roll them out a little bit like a snake, and then you just tie a knot. They're so simple, you guys. I don't know why I wasn't doing this sooner, and these are a huge hit. So usually with pasta, I was serving like Texas toast, store-bought Texas toast out of the freezer, and I shouldn't have been. These are so much better. They taste amazing. If you guys are local to the Omaha area, you guys, or Lincoln in Nebraska, you guys know Valentino's, you know the breadsticks, and honestly, these taste so much like those breadsticks. They're so good. I wish you could smell the bread through my house. I love using my bread machine and prepping the dough and baking bread nowadays. Like, it is it smells so good. But anyway, guys, like I said, these are super simple. You roll them out, tie a knot, and then you're gonna want to cover them and let them sit. I think it was about 30 to 45 minutes longer, so that way they get a little bit more rise in them. Once I let them sit, I am going to start on the lasagna.
I know I'll be alright. He's gonna challenge me to be the best I can be, and to give back to those who need it. It won't always be blue skies ahead.
So for the lasagna, you're just gonna wanna cut up an onion. I diced this up and then let it kind of, I lost the word. I kind of let it cook until it was translucent. I can't remember the word I'm looking for. I lost it. Oh my goodness. What am I doing? I don't know. Anyway, y'all, cut up your onion, add it to a pot with a little bit of oil, and let it not melt down, cook down. Oh my goodness, that's gonna bother me. But anyway, I just diced it up a little bit. So tip from Tammy, because onions make you cry, right? I keep my onions in the fridge. I know that's a little bit taboo, but for whatever reason, them being cold keeps their little onion pheromones within and keeps it from crying. I also will chop it next to a water source, or I will chop it under the fan on the stove, which also helps. Sweat it down. You're gonna sweat the onion down. That's the word I was looking for. So once they're down, cooked, translucent, add a little bit of garlic. I use garlic. You can totally mince up a garlic if you would like, whatever's easiest for you. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my ground beef and let that get browned. So while that's browning, I am going back to my garlic knots. As you can see, they got a nice little rise to them, and they're a little bit poofier than they were. Oh my gosh, you guys, just watching this back, it makes my mouth water. These garlic knots are so good. But I'm just melting them with some melted butter. I'm melting them. I'm brushing them, topping them with some melted butter, with a little bit of garlic powder and some parsley. I do go back in though and add a little bit more garlic powder to the top. I just didn't feel like it had quite enough. But that's totally up to you. I'm very much a dump and whatever looks good type of person. I am not great with measurements unless it's like the actual baking. So let me know if you guys want the recipe for the exact recipe. I'll try to remember to leave it down in the description for you guys. If I don't, let me know and I'll get it for you. But anyway, so now we got the garlic knots all ready and in the oven, and we're going back to the lasagna soup. So I'm adding in some diced tomatoes, tomato sauce, and I did end up adding in a can of tomato paste. I thought it would help just kind of thicken it up. My youngest daughter is actually the one that suggested I make that, because I was going to make just like lasagna the way I make it, which is actually with American cheese. I cheat the system. However, she just requested, hey, do you think you could find a recipe or make soup? So instead, this actually wasn't quite a soup. The noodles really absorbed all the liquid, and so it actually ended up being more like a deconstructed lasagna, but it was still absolutely delicious, a huge hit for my family. So yeah, definitely let me know if you try it. Again, it's super simple. Like I said, I added in the diced tomatoes, a couple cans of diced tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce, and a can of tomato paste. And then I added in 8 cups of beef broth. I didn't feel like that was quite enough liquid, which, like I said, it turned out not being. And so I did end up adding in some water later on. But I also seasoned with, Italian staples. You can use Italian seasoning, or if you don't have Italian seasoning, you could totally use whatever you would like. But look at those garlic knots, you guys. Mouth watering. They're so delicious. But anyway, next step, once that liquid is boiling, you want to go ahead and add your noodles, and then you just let them cook. I forget how long. It might have taken 10 to 15 minutes to get all these noodles cooked. And like I said, it really absorbs a lot of that liquid. And then there was a lot of leftovers. I think this probably made like 3 nights of meals for my family. So it definitely went a very long way, but they absolutely loved it. We just topped it with some ricotta, mozzarella, a little bit of dried Parmesan, and then I did put a little sprinkle of, I think I used parsley, a little sprinkle of parsley on the top as well. So again, absolutely delicious. Let me know if you try it. It was so good and such a hit. My husband literally made himself sick from eating so much of this. I keep saying lasagna soup, but I think it's more of like a deconstructed lasagna.
I try to roam, but when I feel like I am faded, you will never let me go. You will never let me go.
Alrighty guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this little start of a mini series. Let me know if you guys want to see more, what more you want to see, recipes you want to see. I thought it would be fun to do some bread machine recipes. I love my bread machine, y'all. I have been learning though different things that you can make in the bread machine. So I thought it would be fun to kind of share that as well. So I think that's probably going to be the next video. And we're going to kind of go from there, but I really think that you guys are going to enjoy this mini series. I really have been enjoying filming it for you guys. So yeah, if you guys liked this video, if it was helpful, let me know by leaving me a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have any ideas of meals you'd like me to prepare, maybe I'll even do a video of like subscriber recipes. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. But anyway, I hope you all stay happy, healthy, and safe. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer, and we will see you in the next one. Bye guys.